Today we're going to do a video I think is one of the more important videos that I'll ever do, and that is, there are 4 things that every pilot needs to learn, and I will never say master. All I'll say is learn and get somewhat proficient at if you want to improve your aerobatic skills. If you want to do straight line flying and F3A or IMAC, or you just want to do 3D flying, these are skills that are non-negotiably important. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do these first with a pattern plane. This is the Olympus. It's just an awesome pattern ship. It will fly very straight. So I think this is a good plane to practice these things with. Later on we'll do, on the last 2 bits, we're going to do on 3D planes, because these are skills geared a bit more towards advanced aerobatics and 3D flying. The first skill that we're going to talk about is going to be mastery, or at least a complete understanding of the rudder in flight, using it and using the rudder to control, to help control direction and also control the plane's altitude and performance on knife edge. It's really important that you not only understand, you can feel what it's doing. So I'm going to give you the exercises, and I'm going to give you what you need to learn and how you need to do it to be able to feel everything that you need to feel. And trust me, this is going to be one of the most important lessons you learn as a pilot. Using the rudder is important in so many different things. I mean, those really pretty knife edge passes, you need to understand what the rudder is doing. For rolling Harriers, you need to understand what the rudder is doing. Point rolls, you need to really understand and be able to feel what's going on. Just rolling the airplane, rifle rolls, anything. The rudder is being used all the time as you approach flying aerobatics. At first, maybe not much. Maybe all you're doing is a simple point roll, or trying to do a nice, just pure roll. That adding the rudder a little bit will just help it look a little better.
Time remaining 4 minutes.
For me, guys see me very often on takeoff, using the rudder hard almost immediately on takeoff. Plane's up. Look, I'm using the rudder to hold knife edge. Let it go. Other rudder. Now these are all important functions of the rudder. Is not just to do what I'm doing now, which is make a flat turn. Okay, it's pushing it left and right. But a big part of its function is controlling the altitude and the nose angle right through a roll. So as I'm rolling, maybe like an 8-point roll. 1, little rudder, more rudder, little rudder, more, or less rather, little rudder, more rudder, little rudder, no rudder. And those maneuvers are going to be more and more and more important to you as you get better and better at aerobatics. So in order to be able to do that, what we have to do is fly away from ourselves or straight at ourselves. So in this case, I'm going to fly right at me, and I'm going to feel the rudder. I'm going to go a little left, a little right, and flat. And just turn it and watch what the plane is doing. I'm going to move it right. I'm going to move it left. Keep the throttle on and just kind of feel it out. And on that last little turn, I use the rudder in conjunction. Watch, in conjunction with the ailerons to make the turn. So as I'm flying, you can make a turn the way you've been doing it, which is, you bank the wings and then pull on the elevator. But if we add just a little bit of rudder with the turn, I'm adding aileron. How nice the turn is, and I was able to turn belly out. As I'm making a turn in, so I'm banking this way, I put a little rudder on it. You see how much nicer the turn is? I didn't have to bank quite so much. So we need to understand exactly what this rudder is doing all the time. If I'm going to fly knife edge, I have to hold quite a bit of rudder depending on how much throttle I'm using. The more rudder I use, obviously it's going up, it's almost acting like an elevator doing a loop here. See? So one of the exercises is we're going to fly, rotate to its side, push the rudder hard, see what it's doing. Push it, see what it's doing, and just feel it out. In this case, I've only been moving it to one side, the left.
1 minute.
Watch how high the nose is going. Add a little throttle, take the throttle away, add a little throttle, take it away, hold it, and feel it. And that way, if I want to do a nice little point roll, I can control it without, see, I'm using just enough rudder to make sure it doesn't get any altitude. And that's where you start to develop that feel. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in 2 flights. It happens over time. You can start by going up at a 45-degree angle and turning the rudder and then watching it. See, I'm adding more, adding the opposite, adding more. And just watch what the plane is doing. Throw that rudder back and forth and start to feel the effect it's going to have on the aircraft. See it? Go higher, lower. Higher, lower. And just watch what it's doing. One of the reasons this is so important is because every roll that you make, if you want it as I'm rolling, I'm going to go left rudder, and see how nice and straight it stays. And of course, if I ever want to do a really nice, long, slow roll, that becomes paramount, because as the plane is long and it starts to roll, I want to have a mastery over that rudder to be able to keep that long, slow roll going and not let the plane lose any altitude. You need a break, Tom? We are going to discuss the relation between the throttle and the rudder. I'm sure you've all seen me do knife edges where I'm falling, and then when I get close to the ground, just hold it off with the throttle. We're going to discuss that stuff. But right now, there's another really essential skill. And what we're going to show you right now is going from one side to another. Rolling right and then rolling left and catching the rudder. So what we're going to do is do something that probably none of you have tried, or most of you haven't. We're going to kind of tick-tock. We're going to go back and forth.
Flight mode 4.
So what we're kind of looking at is we want you to practice this, and this is going to help you with that rudder, okay? Keep the same altitude, right, right, left. Go as far as you want. But practice doing the rudder, right, left, right. Now, to not let the plane lose its trajectory. That's the trick. Now, how to do this is, I think this is the best way to do it. Start it up, way up. Go right, left, and just get used to the plane doing that. And so I almost went up at 90 degrees. So the next time I try it, I'm going to try it at maybe 70 degrees and see if I can keep that same sort of trajectory, to keep it on a line going like a straight line. So it's a little more than 45. Right, left, right, left. Okay, come down. For brevity, we're going to show you, we're going to go up at a 45. There's a 45. Right, left, right, left, and see if you can keep it straight. If you're going up a degree angle or higher, pretty hard to screw up. So now let's take it 22 degrees maybe. Right, left, right, left. And I am putting some rudder into it.
-7 minutes.
Try and go to go straight. Go right, maybe the other side and do it. That's another exercise from going back and forth. You can roll through to the other side, because that's ultimately straight. I'm going to go left rudder, right roll, left roll, right rudder. And that's basically it. And this is a skill you need to have, because honestly, as you're doing simple things like that point roll, if you're rolling through the first knife edge, you have to learn to hit the rudder on the other side. You don't only roll in one direction. You know, you roll left and right. And if you're going to roll, and we don't want to gain any altitude, you got to really know how to control that rudder. Straight, turn right, straight. Whoop. Good enough at it because I gained about 15 feet in altitude because it was coming straight at me. Let me try that again. Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to keep doing this until I can keep it level. All right, guys, that's 2 times in a row where I gained altitude that I didn't want to. And that's why, you know, it's always good to practice. I need practice, just like everybody else does. Sometimes if you're directly behind it, flying directly away from yourself, you can kind of see the amount of rudder, and it's a lot easier to see if you're gaining altitude or something. And what I just did now was a really good example of why you need over the rudder. Because if you noticed, when I was flying straight away, instead of continuing straight, it made. And what that was I wasn't good enough to add the rudder properly. You see how it made a turn? Started off to the right. That was incompetence, because I didn't know just how much rudder to add. So obviously I need to practice it a little bit. Going tick-tock away from me, I haven't done it. We'll try it again, but this time I'm going to wait a little longer to add the rudder, and I can stay straight. I just added the rudder a little too early, and it canted the airplane. And all of this, absolutely all of this, is nothing more than really wanting to understand when you move that rudder, what is happening. If I move it too early, you see it turning. So we don't want to add the rudder too early because it causes the plane to veer off line. Catch it with the rudder and it stays perfectly straight. But that is a skill that takes a little time. There are tick-tock Harrier rolls. There are also, there's a maneuver I really love that I do once in a while, and that is kind of a tick-tock loop. Try and stay straight, but roll the plane, you know, tick-tocking in either direction. And I'm sorry I didn't finish it, but that tick-tock loop is a really effective maneuver, and it's very hard to keep the plane straight while you're making that loop. But really understanding the rudder, that's what it's all about, and something you need to practice, and if you get it, it will change your life as far as aerobatics are concerned.
Minus 13 minutes.
Especially with a maneuver like this, you know, how much rudder to add and how to hold, and exactly how much throttle to add. I mean, these are really low, but still knowing just how much rudder to add to keep it at the angle that you want, it's something you have to practice.